Greetings and salutations, I'm Castellan Avingmar, also known as Town of Linden, over on the Torah War Center, and welcome to part 3 of our mini tutorial series on weapon assets, texturing, modeling, and all the other stuff that go into assets for battle maps. So I have gone ahead and taken the concept art and cut out the parts that we're going to need from the actual concept art. So everything is in the same place because we modeled everything in these positions. It'll be easier for us to make the actual textures. So I usually put it in a black, on a black background for us to work on. And we're going to start with the blade. I have gone ahead and grabbed a steel image, still stock image, some steel that I really like. It's a little scruffed up. It's got embellishments. I've blended it in the middle, and it's going to have some mirroring issues, but I think we'll be fine with that. So first we're going to want to retrace the blade. So I'm going to grab the appropriate tool for this. So it's number 1 here. And I'm just going to go in. And if any of you have been following the Total War Center, or even just the Divide and Conquer or Reforged Discords, I've started a new project to reskin Gundabad in Divide and Conquer, but also as a reskin for Leo's mod, which I enjoy playing quite a bit, though I haven't played Medieval 2 in a good while. And it's gone fairly well so far. I've developed a helmet already, which I will post as an update later on in the day. And a lot of those, I'm just gonna, for that reskin, I'm just gonna be making the models first and use the images I used as my reference point for making all the assets, and just cut the images and then just put them into a texture set, and then whatever I need to make by texture I need to make by hand, I'll make by hand in blocks. But it's gone very well so far with that project. So now that we have that, we take our steel, make sure that's fit all the way, and we're going to select it, copy paste. The steel is no longer useful to us now, so we'll just hide it. And now we have this slab of steel. I'm going to change it to, I believe, no, that's not it. Screen, nope. Overlay, there we go. So we're going to overlay. Overlay's better. And we're going to edit the entire texture, because that's how going to work. I'm going to be working with a lot of grays, really. So something I'm going to want to do before I do anything else is get rid of all these streaks from the pencil. So I'm going to select a gray to work with. I'm going to go to the brush, and we're going to choose yes, this one. We're just going to clean that off. It's not going to match entirely, but it'll do the job for now. A lot of this is just going to be based on mostly your artistic ability. And I don't think it'll be a challenge for most people who want to make models. If you can hear my very beaten up Wacom tablet as I use my stylus, then you know that's good, sort of. It's not that good for the actual equipment, but who cares, really? So I'm gonna give this an actual edge. Lightly edge it up. I'm going to change this into a darker gray, just to tone things down just a tad bit, so it'll be easier to highlight. Switch. We're going to darken these just a tad bit here. Get a central ridge sort of happening. And define the edge. Get that ridge a little more defined. Minimize this just a tad bit more, get a finer detail going. And we're going to go here, get this bit of extra definition, and lighten it just a tad bit, and then we're going to blend it. Another ridge. Let's get a little bit of that. Now time to blend it just a little bit here. Switch to a darker. Get a little darker. There we go. That just a little more. We're going to define some of these shapes. Switch back to 30. This airbrush, lightly brush some of these areas. And there we go. We're going to get this one. I'm going to make a few highlights, lighter highlights. I'm going to grab something closer to white and just gently go over an area. And we'll get this to start making some finer details. There we go. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to give some shadowing. I'm going to give this some stir. Push back. I'm going to define the edge just a tad bit more. Make it really look sharp and have like some proper geometry, I suppose. So there we go. And you can really add some variation to a model just through the textures. There's something I usually like to do. Actually, let's highlight some of this. Highlight that area at the top. Give that some more definition. And we're going to go over that lighter, but not so dark. Use the brush again. Zoom in. Too small. There we go. And we're just gonna clean this up, essentially. Go here, select this one. I'm just gonna give some few highlights here and there. Kind of want it to be a little like lackluster metal. Hasn't really been treated like a fine piece of steel. So it's been left to become a little matte. Not a whole lot of extreme care, but it's still not rusted. So look what I usually go with when it comes to these. Make them look a little worn. Gives a lot of character. Take a white. dots out. This area is still just a tad bit too light. Let's give it a, there we go. And we're going to take one of these stamps. Oops, too big. Go over some of these areas. Add some pitting and a little more clear wear. It's a little too much. Select this one now. A little larger. Pit a few areas. And that. Add some irregularity. Because steel, usually, if it has aged a bit, develops sort of pit-like. You really want to give it a look as if it has aged just a tad bit. Of course, most arms and armor are taken care of by its original owner, but I want this to look a little used, as if it's been in constant campaign, so there was never enough time to keep it in perfect order. Again, start adding some pits. Something a lot of people are going to notice is a lot of this is in layers, since that's what most requires to make it look good. Get a lot of layers into your texture. A few adjustments at a time. So from a distance now, it's starting to look like pretty used steel. I think I'm happy with that. Of course, we have our original, which I have tinted slightly. So I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to Control U. Go to colorize. Saturate it. You don't want it really like that. You want maybe like a wrought iron. Select a color. So that's 31140. Alright. So now it's a little too orange. So we'll go to 31. 12. See that? Yeah. It's a little, I think 4510 looks better. Yeah, looks much better. So we've saved that. I'm going to merge it. There we go. Now we have a texture like that. For the pummel, this metal bead, you can do the exact same thing, and it won't make a whole lot of, it'll look just as good. But now for the wood, this wood piece, I think will be far more important and interesting, because we have a lot of markings on this, and it's very, very difficult to do something like that. But even though that would be difficult, it won't really matter. It's really the same thing with the steel over here. What I think people are going to be interested though is how to make normals and alphas. And those are to give definition in a model or even highlight certain areas, or to give depth. Normal maps tend to do the depth, and the alphas, depending if it's in a texture or normal. If it's in a texture, it's going to the white areas are going to appear as translucent, so you're not gonna, it's gonna be see-through. But in a normal map, it's going to be highlighting areas of high contrast. So the edges here, they're much lighter, so they'll appear as they'll appear shinier in game. Area that's darker and duller, it's not going to be as shiny. So we'll go ahead and do a normal of this blade here. So I'm gonna make a copy of it so we don't lose it, because I'd like to use it for our variant. So I'm gonna copy, paste it. There we go. And then we're gonna go to filter. We're going to do that. Now this is our normal mapping. It's similar in Photoshop if you're using Photoshop, but this one is not as robust, I suppose is the best term. Not sure how I would describe it. It's pretty much see how this looks. Simple. It's not good. Oh god, no. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. It's called disgusting. So we're going to do this. I'm going to bring these out just a tad bit. So the highlighted areas are going to come out further than this. Usually like to keep these a little sharper. So I think that would suffice. So that's our normal. I think I'll also show you what a alpha would look like, and it's not that special. The way I do it, it works just as well as how probably a lot of people do it. So we're going to use Control U again, and we're going to turn off a lot of things, and we're going to make it as dark as we can, but still seeing. So I think this will be fine. And that's how I make my alphas. Of course, each one of these will have to be in their own folder, or their own file. In order to exist, you would pair up this normal with the alpha in the normal map file, which I think I can try and pull up to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So here we are with the texture converter program, DXTBMP, and here we have a normal map. This is pretty standard. You can replace with import new image, but here in this corner we have alpha. We have the alpha texture. So this is pretty standard. I don't use most of the program's stuff very often. So we look at the normal map. So in the alpha, you can vaguely make out anything. The most highlighted areas, so the lighter areas, are actually, from what I can see, is this area and here. Those are the most pronounced, so they will appear as some, usually depending on how it's set up, shinier or a little more matte. But it's kind of how it looks in the folder, and you just have to set up your file. So, quick, easy thing I can do. So I pulled up the first version of this texture model. Up, it's the the regular texture, and all I have to do is save as creative assembly texture. We're just going to save it, and then you would make a copy of it, add norm, meaning, or normal, depending on how you're going to want to format that, and then you're just going to slap in your normal file with import image. You click OK, and you have choices. This is from projects that I just experimented with, but say you want to use this one, you just click open and it'll put it in, and you save it. And you do the same thing for the alphas if you made an alpha. I'm going to cancel that and go back to here. So that's really all you need to know about texturing and stuff like that. Of course, this is the final one. This is something you should probably get. The wood, I just did the same thing. Highlighted areas that I needed to, highlighted areas I didn't. It's just really a simple piece of wood. Then I just added extra definition. And that's kind of really it when it comes to texturing. The next video will consist of implementing the textures model and really that onto a unit and another texture set, and then porting into the game. And that will be the final video of this little tutorial. But yeah, that's mostly all you have to worry about. I'm just going to move this one down. This is another variant, I suppose. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to worry about when it comes to this kind of stuff. Not a whole lot to know. So I'll see you guys in the next video next week. I'm also going to have to be doing a lot of pre-recorded videos because I'm going to be traveling in a couple of days. Actually, by next Tuesday I'll be on a plane and landing in a different state. I'll be visiting some family, so I'll have to pre-record some videos for about, like, I think 2 weeks or so, which is really just 2 extra videos, but I might pre-record a few more to spice up the content, since I'll have to continue working on that new project of mine. And if you guys want to see update videos on that on the Good and Bad Reskin project, let me know. If you want to let me know if you want to see how I model parts of it, or how I texture those parts, or just general what I've made in that in the time between the videos, or anything. Just let me know, and I'll go ahead and put that up for you. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.